Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 42 of 40 Years and 40 Beers. As always, it's your host, Bob and Massi, here for another episode. What's going on, Mass?
Nothing much, man. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Been playing a lot of travel baseball over the past couple weekends, which is why we've had this little hiatus. Life gets in the way, but we're going to be through that travel baseball season soon and be able to give you a lot
Crazy
more content.
couple of weeks. How are they doing? How's the team doing?
They're not bad. They're not bad. We won one tournament in March. We lost in the quarterfinals in the last two tournaments, but we got to play in two really cool venues, one in Maryland and one in Cortland, New York, up near Syracuse. That was an adventure.
I was going to say, you were close to Canada, weren't you?
Because it was May 2nd, and it was 38 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's crazy.
It was out of control.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So, episode 2 stunk. Episode 3 was kind of okay. So, we're going to talk about both of them. So I think the only thing.
What do you mean? What do you mean episode 2 stunk?
I was just going to say the only decent part, it was filler. It was all filler. It was very slow. The only significant thing was that they let the kids see Jim dead. That was it. Like you already knew he was dead. You knew it was a matter of time before they found him. The only significance there was that it was a decision to let the kids find him and not Tabitha.
By the man in yellow.
No, find Jim hanging in the barn.
No. What I mean is that's what. So see, I view it completely different. When I first saw that, I was like, "My God, how diabolical is that? That the monsters of the man in yellow hung that so that way the kids will be the one to find Jim."
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. That's bananas.
That was great. But that was the only, that couldn't hold the episode. That was the only good part of it.
Well, I mean, we got a lot of other things.
Like knowledge comes at a cost. Yeah, it was a little bit of a setup, but the episode in and of itself, like if we're going to do an episode per episode, that didn't qualify. You know what I'm saying?
So one thing that I thought was really interesting about episode 2 was they start to realize that, especially Boyd, knowledge comes at a cost, right? So remember, he tells Jade that, hey, remember, the more that you start looking into these things and the more you uncover, the more this, whatever the hell it is going to push back. So what the hell is going to happen? Like, what do you think's actually going to happen from episode?
I don't know. So was he talking about knowledge comes at a cost? Does that some people found out who the man in yellow is? Does that mean whatever Jade is trying to unlock, he shouldn't unlock? Is it both? So you don't really know exactly what he's referring to, or it could just be everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But isn't there a part where like the man in yellow actually says like this is supposed to come later or happen later? But now
I think Sophia says it.
Okay. All right.
My first gut reaction was he's talking about Boyd coming home and ratting out Smiley to everybody. Like, I think what he meant was Boyd should have kept his mouth shut. Boyd should have saw what he saw in that tunnel and not told a blessed person. Because if you notice...
Well, he couldn't because Kenny already saw it. Kenny came down after him.
Kenny did not see Smiley. Kenny was in the tunnel.
And he saw Smiley. Yes, he did. Because that's how...
Are you sure about that?
Positive. That's how Boyd was able to tell everybody and nobody questioned it because Kenny saw it too.
Okay. We haven't seen the monsters. We saw maybe one or two when Sophia went outside to pretend like she was confused about what nighttime was. And we saw one in a flashback when Storywalker Jade goes back to the RV in the beginning. But the monsters have been MIA from this season so far.
So from episode 2, so Julie goes story walking, right? She has Randall bring her to the ruins, and she wants to confirm that he's going to be able to take her out. She's trying to bring Jim back to life, so she brings Randall to the ruins because she wants to go story walking, right? Because that's what she calls it already, because that's what her brother called it.
Right.
So here's my question. Do we now know that she can be killed when she goes back and story walks? Because the monster came and got her. The monster pulled her hair and was about to kill her until Randall pulled her out. But it seemed like it was also a really damn long time. Like, I've never seen one of these monsters get on top of their prey or one of their victims for, 15 seconds. Usually they get on top and they just rip their throat out or
just slice the throat. But how is it possible if the man in yellow says you can't and Ethan says you can't change the story?
So I think she's going to do everything she can to try to change the story, right? You mean with her?
But I'm saying, how could it have been possible that the monster could have killed her if that wasn't the way it was written?
I have no idea.
Yeah. But it did look like that.
So maybe she can't be killed.
If what's her name gave her another few seconds, she was gone.
Exactly. So we find that out, right? So then after Julie goes story walking and almost gets killed by the nurse monster, right? If you remember, friggin' Acosta is sitting there and goes crazy and steals the goddamn ambulance.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So she's the one who's finally going to find a way how to just drive out of town, out of Fromville.
What was she saying about, she had like some sort of rationale she was trying to give, what's her name, in the car. And it kind of started to make sense a little bit to me. What was she saying about how she was going to escape and no one else could have before?
Because everybody just took Boyd's word for it and just took the people's word for it. I was like, yeah.
No, that's not.
That's not rational. That's why I was looking at you. I was like, what are you talking about?
No.
So then
I thought she hit her with something significant.
No, so then they see Ethan, right? And she drives right by her, the fucking bitch. Drives right by him, which is ridiculous. She's going to leave the kid out in the woods. And I remember Christy was like, it's a kid. You got to stop. And they throw the spike strips down. So what was funny is, if you remember, it kind of mimics the first episode with the Matthews, how the Matthews kept coming through town faster and faster, right?
Right.
Because now you're starting to panic. And that's what was happening with Acosta. At first she was going, through the town, maybe 30 miles an hour when she would get there. Then the next time it was 40. Next time it was 50. She was starting to panic because she was like, oh my God, I can't get out of here. Then Ethan goes back to the RV. Remember, he goes into the woods, goes back to the RV, and he gets the radio. And then he sees, I'm going to say it's a ghost, right? Is it a ghost of Jim?
Yeah, I don't know what else it could have been.
Is it like an apparition? Is it a fairy, who took the form of Jim to help him? I don't know. But it obviously wasn't Jim. Jim's dead. All right.
I don't know if we could definitely say he's completely dead forever. I don't know if we could say that. But yeah, some sort of form of Jim, even if it was Ethan's imagination, the father appears and he's giving him this information about the Lake of Tears.
Exactly. The Lake of Tears. So what's going on here now? So is Ethan a reincarnation? Is Ethan a story writer? Can he rewrite the story? Like, are there things that because it was a story. The Lake of Tears, I don't think, is from a book he read. I think it's from like the game he would play where they would make it up.
Right. And he talks about that in episode 3. So let's what else do you want to?
So that's how episode 2 ends.
That's how it ends. Yeah. Okay. So let's start from the beginning of episode 3. So Jade is meditating like Elle in the water, trying to jog his memory. And the boy in white is much older now.
Yes. Now is that? Well, no, that's okay. So let's go in order. So is that how it opens?
Yeah, she says to him, "Why are you so much older? Why do you look?"
But she's not even with Jade. Then she's with Victor's father. Victor's father's trying to get her to not go through the faraway tree, the bottle tree. So in the beginning, the way the episode opens up, it's basically Acosta saying to Boyd she wants a bullet. All she needs is one. If you remember, and then he just leaves her there. He says no. Now, the funny thing is, I'm like, why does she still have her gun? Locked in the room. Her gun was just sitting
there's
there.
No bullets in it.
Yeah, she's a cop. She can probably figure. I'm not saying she can shoot herself. She's not going to freaking, make a bullet out of thin air, but she can still use it to attack Boyd, right? She can pistol whip him. Who knows what she can do?
That's
so that was that. But that was just little insight there. That was the first thing I thought is, what is this, bro?
It's laying on the bed, right?
Just laying on the bed, right in front of her.
Crisscross applesauce.
All right.
Yeah.
So then we go to, did Jade ask for LSD? He asked for acid, is what happens.
How crazy is that? I mean, Boyd's just going to have some in his pocket. He's holding it all the time.
Well, you never know who came through town, right? It's probably a legitimate question. But right there, he keeps saying, I'm trying to unlock something that I may have forgotten, right? So I can't believe he was asking if he had acid. I agree with you. Let me go on this fucking acid trip. Boyd was like, listen, the last thing we need right now is for your brain to be scrambled eggs. He was like...
If the key to going home's in your brain, we ain't scrambling it. Yeah.
So then you got Victor, right? All of a sudden says that he can show Ethan the Lake of Tears. Or he thinks.
No, he said he'll take him to the lake.
He'll take him to the lake if he says to him why he wants to go there after he gets there.
Right.
All right. So now Victor and Ethan go to the lake and they see Jade meditating there.
But that's not the Lake of Tears.
That's not the Lake of Tears. Ethan knows it's not the Lake of Tears. So now Jade's meditating, right? Trying to figure out.
Like Elle.
trying to figure out what's going on. So once Ethan starts saying to Jade basically that I saw my dad and I have to find the Lake of Tears. If you remember, Jade kind of looks at him like, the Lake of Tears, what's that?
Yeah.
And then that's when Ethan starts saying, it's a story I made up about this game I used to play. And then, of course, Jade's like, well, listen, buddy, stories are just stories. How do you know this is a real place? And then he says about Miranda, the stones with the red paint on them, or the red stones. My mom thought that was only a dream. She thought that was only a story. Maybe that,
and it was here.
It was here. Maybe that's what the Lake of Tears is for me. And I think that's a pretty.
And he says, like, I don't know if I saw it, and then that's how I know of it here, or if I made it up, or if I know about it because it really existed. And he was like, he makes it seem like it's possible that it could exist. Number one. Number two, he could have either made it up or it could have been something legit from before he ended up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
so
the ending of that storyline is, which I'm really, really interested in, is they're walking down the path, right? And Victor sees the spot where the man in yellow left his clothes.
Yeah.
And he pisses himself. He's so goddamn scared.
When you rewatched, did we know before that moment that Victor knew who he was?
So I think there's been inklings, like the massacre that you always see. I almost wonder if that's from the Man in Black in the flashbacks where all the townspeople were killed, or the Man in Yellow. The Man in Black is lost.
But, well, you could probably assume that he did it. But this is the first time we have confirmation that Victor knows who he is.
Correct.
And Jade and Ethan, and then eventually Tabitha and Victor's father. The episode ends with them not getting anything out of him except for, I thought he wasn't real, or I thought it was a dream. He's mumbling something like that as he's crying. But they know, like, it's legit, right? For him to, like, wet himself and be so worked up. And you look over, and the final scene is Jade finds shrooms.
Correct. Now, that's the final scene in that storyline. The final scene.
Right, yeah.
Because we'll talk about the final scene, too, in a minute. But I also want to go back to what happened with Tabitha. Right, Tabitha.
Right. So before they hear Ethan's voice, like you said, the father's trying to stop her from the tree, and they both look over and they see the boy in white, but he's older. Now, she doesn't say older, but she says, "Why do you look different?"
Correct. Now, what's nuts is she confirms that what Victor's father was saying all along, that the tree probably wasn't going to take her back to the lighthouse. He says, I don't think it will, or I'm probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
But then he says, you're running out of time. You're so close, and you're running out of time.
Close to what? Time for what?
Exactly. That's why I love this show. That's why I love it. This is why I love it. Because it's about to get real, because it's about to get fast.
And hold on. Sophia's in the diner after the double funeral. And it was either right before or right after she blames Jade's family for causing all this.
No, she doesn't blame Jade's family. She blames the Matthews. Jim's family. Jim and Tabitha.
Julie. I'm sorry. Not Jade. Yeah, so, but right before that, when Kenny's talking to her or when somebody's talking to her, they say that the Matthews family and Jade and his friend arrived at the same time on the same day. And she looks extremely confused by that information. When, in my mind, she's the reason that it happened in the first place.
Well, we don't know if that's true, right? We still don't. I mean, look, there's still a lot of unanswered questions for all. The only thing we really know right now, we know two things about the man in yellow, okay? Three things. Victor knows who he is.
Yeah.
He can shapeshift.
And
he can come out during the day. That's really all we know about him.
But you have to assume he or she or the thing has been there the entire time. How did that person, that thing that Sophia's representing at the moment, not know they showed up at the same time?
I don't know.
That's crazy to me.
I don't know. Now,
I would think that would absolutely be knowledge that that thing had.
Now, is it also because no, because he already knows that they found out they're the reincarnations. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
That was wild to me.
That's a good question.
She looked confused by that information.
Well, I'm wondering, are all the townspeople going to start turning on each other now? Like she said, this is when they tear each other apart, and she's kind of already planting the seed of the way she talked to Julie, and she'll start planting that seed. Like, all this started when the Matthews got here. We need to put them in the box, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
You have to imagine she could totally convince Sarah to do something crazy again. Sarah whacked her brother.
So that's the thing. So there's the other question. The man in yellow, Sophia, was she obviously the voices from earlier in the series that were telling Sarah to kill Ethan and, kill Kenny's father?
If I believe she was the voices, I have to believe she would have known the Matthews family and Jade arrived on the same day at the same time. For her to be confused by that leads me to believe she didn't know, which means that there's stuff going on that thing isn't privy to.
Here's what's really interesting. We're 3 episodes in now, right? And besides when Sophia goes out at night, right, after she kills her father in episode 2, you know what I'm talking about?
And the flashback to the nurse in the Storywalker.
We haven't really seen the monsters at all.
Not at all. Not once. They've been MIA.
Yeah, so I don't know that this season's even really about them at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think it's going to be all about the man in yellow, and I'm really, really, really excited now because Victor, flat out pissed himself and was shaking. So we know this is going to be some serious, serious shit.
So before we get to the ending...
Well, dude, there's other things. Hang on.
I was going to say...
What do you think's going on with Fatima?
What are Fatima and Elgin up to?
So...
What is he getting all that dirt
I
for?
saw a theory that she might be turning into something similar like a vampire. Because when vampires sleep in their coffins, they have to have earth or something in the coffin, and she doesn't have a coffin. So is she turning her bedroom into a coffin? Is this the beginning of the fact that?
But why would she become why is she a vampire at all?
I just had an idea. What did she just do? What did she just do? She
gave birth to a monster.
But she did what to her child? She did the same exact thing that the other ones did. She basically just sacrificed her child. So is now this the beginning of her turning into one of those things?
You think it's like a slow process like how it is on Walking Dead?
I don't know. This is that just hit me. I know she didn't sacrifice.
But she would have that knowledge early. Though.
I don't know. I know she didn't sacrifice her child knowingly, but it's still part of the process maybe because of Fromville.
On a technicality, you could get her. She did it.
Yeah. They caught her slipping.
and hold on, did Randall get out from under the house before the episode ends?
Yes, Randall's out from under because Julie has the books.
Are you
I'm
sure?
Positive. And I don't want to talk about that because the rat coming out of the guy's mouth is something that I can never unsee again.
Oh, that was nasty. Now we see him open up the books and confirm to her, and he yells up to her, and we see him walk back over the dead guy. But I don't know that we ever saw him actually get out of the house.
Maybe he didn't. I got to rewatch. I forget.
I wrote in my notes, is Randall actually going to get out from under the house or not?
All right, then maybe he's not out. But what do you think about that theory? Is Fatima turning into one of the creatures?
That's a strong possibility for sure. But the rest of them don't require Earth.
We don't know that. We weren't there for the beginning.
Well, they all live underground in tunnels. It's technically they're just dirt
surrounded by dirt
with openings carved out of them. Yeah. Okay. I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
All of a sudden, she's not going to be able to be around in the daytime, and then we'll know.
Okay.
What else you got in your notes?
Is there actually a lake of tears? We don't know for sure. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Can we talk about how much this man in yellow is bothering me, too? Like, every time I see him wearing the yellow suit for the first 2 episodes, I know he's out of it now, but I keep thinking about the man in the yellow hat from Curious George and the fucking...
Oh, my God. Oh,
and the guy who fucking owns the Savannah Bananas. That's all I see is the fucking... That's all I see in this yellow suit.
I'm rocking the Curious George shirt today.
I didn't even pick that up. How about that?
Yeah, that's hysterical. Yeah, he's totally like a horror film version of the man in the yellow hat. That was it. Is there really a lake of tears? Mm-hmm. And then... I don't think Randall got out of the house. And then the ending. I mean, that we got to talk about the ending.
Okay, so the question I have for you is...
Wait, let's finish the I just need one bullet situation. And then we'll talk about the endings. He dismisses it in the beginning, but then he comes around to... He's got something up his sleeve. Mm-hmm. He brings Acosta to a secondary storage unit.
Yep. Basically everything they couldn't find a use for.
That's not in the back of the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And he says to her, like, I'm not trained for this. You're trained for investigation, and you might find something we missed. And I need you to go through all this and put a story together about these people. Give me a narrative, right? And he said, if you do this for me and you still want that bullet, we'll talk. And so I don't think he's actually ever going to give her the bullet. That's number one. Although it's interesting that in the first episode, he wanted bullets for everybody. And she's the first person to ask him the same thing without having knowledge that him and Kenny were having that discussion. So to the point of like, this is when they start to tear each other apart. She's already breaking down. We already have one person begging for a bullet to whack themselves. But what is he trying to accomplish with her looking through that storage?
I don't know. Obviously, one of two things. One, he's trying to make her feel useful. All right. Number two, what if there was something they missed? It's all about, is there anything we missed? Because he's not trained to go through it. So I don't even think that
worst case, find some LSD for Jade.
There you go. I don't even think he knows.
Yeah. But is it a genuine, like, let's just give this a once over in case we miss anything? Or do you think he's got an ulterior motive?
I think both. I think it's a once over in case we missed anything. And it's also a way for Acosta to realize she is useful and not want to offer stuff.
But you don't think he's got her doing that for like another shady reason?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
I don't.
So now, I mean, the only other thing is that was the last piece, but the only other thing is the ending. So it ends with him going to visit his wife.
Now, do you think her hand actually came up through there, or was it a hallucination?
Was it a what?
Hallucination. Did he hallucinate it?
I don't think it was a hallucination. I think that it was either his wife or one of the monsters. But the monsters, so he was speaking to his wife and he asked her for a sign or for her help or her guidance or something. I forget what his exact words were. And then a Caucasian hand comes up from the ground, right? Couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman, but it was
more gray.
Okay. Well, but it wasn't an African-American hand.
How do we know? The motherfucker was been dead for hell and he... What if they turned white? During the decay process?
Wait. What if it was a monster? What if they're able to come up through the dirt and through the ground temporarily? You know how True Blood, some of them could go into the light, like the man in yellow, but most of them would get burned if they walked into it. What if they could muster up enough strength to bust their hand through for 5 minutes or whatever the case might be? Like, how crazy would it be if, sticking with the theme of like, you're good, buddy. This is how they start to tear themselves apart. It's one thing, they don't know that the man in yellow / Sophia can walk around during the day. Only Jade knows that. And Jade hasn't, or not Jade, Julie hasn't, she doesn't seem like she's mentioned to anybody of his existence. Right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Because the first thing I would have did was come home and be like, Mom, there's a crazy man in yellow that just whacked Daddy, and I'm going to try to go back in time and save him. Like, she didn't tell anybody of the man in yellow's existence, and now it looks like Victor might be taking the lid off that. But what if the monsters can start coming up through the ground now, like on some thriller shit?
I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think they're going to be able to come up through the ground. I think it was either a hallucination. I think it's the man in yellow fucking with them, because we already know there's been things that have happened to him, right?
Comes at a cost.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Now, predictions. What's going to happen in the next episode?
If you're right about the hallucination, then I would imagine we're going to start to see more of them from other people.
I think two things are going to happen. I think one, we're going to see way more story walking.
So definitely more story walking.
We're going to see more story walking. I think we're going to see Sophia causing more trouble. I think the trouble is going to be between Boyd and Donna.
I hope we get to see what Fatima's doing, and I don't know if she's gonna get her bullet, but I think Acosta's going to finish her research or her investigation, whatever she's doing over
I think they're setting Acosta up to be a hero, is what I think.
Okay.
Because let's be honest. All right. So
since setting her up to be a hero.
So since day one, I've hated her. I'm like, I can't wait for her to get her throat ripped out by one of these things or get her insides ripped out. I can't wait. So now I think everybody feels that way. So it would be great writing for her to all of a sudden transition into being one of the heroes of the series.
Do you think, who's the first main character to go next? What if Boyd is grooming her and Kenny gets whacked?
I don't know if Kenny's going to get whacked. I don't think it's going to be Kenny.
Because he's the closest to Sophia, and he already lost his mom and dad. Everyone else either came with no one or still has someone. Boyd's got his son, and he's got Fatima. The son's got Fatima.
I think the son's going to get whacked.
Oh, it would be really hard for Boyd to remain in charge if that happened.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, the rage room. Ellis and Elgin.
Yeah, no, Ellis and Fatima went there.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Ellis and Elgin are the two we get mixed up all the time. Yeah, and she looked like she was going to town on that windshield towards the end of that scene.
No, she did. She did.
That's crazy. I forgot all about the rage room.
Yeah, they have these in Japan.
If she was turning into something, wouldn't you think she would have had superpowers during that situation?
Not yet. It's still early.
Oh, you're crazy. It's still early.
They can't do it. They can't do it.
What time is going to happen?
They can't do her whole storyline in 2 episodes.
It's still early. Get out of here.
So that's what's going to. So here's what's going to happen. Here's
more hallucinations.
My prediction.
Hit me.
Fatima is going through the process of becoming one of the monsters, and she kills Ellis.
Oh, that's dope. All right, we got to end on that.
That's my prediction.
Wrap that up. Coming to get it.